Am I the a-hole for defending my right to skip a birthday party for my dad's almost stepkid and for insulting his affair partner? Last year, my mom and I, 18 female, found out my dad was having an affair with a new co-worker of his. She was a single mom, and when the affair came to light, she approached my mom and me and said her ex was a deadbeat. My dad was good to her son, and she wanted us to be respectful and accept the changes with grace, because a little boy's chance to grow up with a father figure was on the line. My mom and I told her where to go, and my mom warned her she wasn't welcome at our house. Because I was still 17 when my parents separated, custody was a thing, and a judge said I needed to spend every other weekend with my dad until my 18th birthday. My dad wanted more time, but I wanted none, so the judge went to the middle. I hated it, but once I turned 18, it was over. My parents' divorce was finalized a few weeks after my birthday, and we were free of my dad forever. When I spent weekends at my dad's house, his affair partner tried to befriend me and make me play sister with her kid. I was rude to her and made it clear she was not my friend and I wasn't going to be nice. She tried her whole BS speech again about her son, and I told her I didn't care about him, that he was not my problem and not my responsibility. But I couldn't be a jerk to a kid, so when he was around me, I was nice to him and he got attached. I didn't, honestly. I hated when he would seek me out, but he was a kid, so I dealt with it nicely. My dad told me he didn't want his affair to change our relationship, and that he wanted me to stay his little girl. I made it clear his actions had changed things, and our relationship was never going to be the same. I said there wasn't going to be one as soon as I could stop seeing him. He fought against what I said and wanted therapy with me, but I refused to go. To me, cheating is disgusting. Had my dad just left my mom when he was unhappy, that would have been fine. I wouldn't have been mad. Divorces happen. I know cheating does too. But cheating is so disrespectful and disgusting. And to expect me to play family with that woman? Never. So my anger isn't just at this affair partner. It's at him too. It always will be. Anyway, sorry. I just wanted to say that. I got an invite to the kid's birthday party. I'm guessing he's about 5. I'm not totally sure, but I knew I wasn't going, so I ignored it. My dad complained to my grandparents about me not showing up and upsetting the kid. They wanted to know why I didn't go and said I should have come to let him see I wasn't abandoning him. I told them he wasn't mine to abandon, and I wasn't going to stay in his life. They told me he's just a kid. I said he's a kid who isn't my problem. They wanted me to feel bad, and I made sure they knew I didn't feel bad and that I knew I didn't have to. They disagreed. Then the affair partner showed up while I was walking home from work to talk about me not showing up, and she wanted me to know her son missed me. I told her to leave me alone, but she kept talking, saying so much crap about her son's feelings. I told her to leave me alone and that she was one of the last people I wanted to hear from, but she still wouldn't let it go. So I told her the last person I wanted to hear from was a dirty, disgusting homewrecker like her who sleeps with married men. I told her she was repulsive in my eyes, and like I told her months before, she was never going to be my friend. I think my choice of words startled the fight out of her, and I got away from her fast and made it home. My grandparents heard about what I said, texted me about it and the party, and said they didn't like who I was becoming. I replied that I didn't like who their son became either, so maybe they should take a look at that. They kept texting me all this crazy anger, so I blocked them for a while. But I guess I know I could have kept walking and stuff, so am I the a-hole for not going to the party and for what I said to the affair partner? Now for the top comments. You are not the a-hole, sweetie, but dad, his side piece, and his parents are. 100%. And what about your feelings? They are the dang adults. They are being ridiculously selfish, trying to make you play happy family so they feel better about what they did and the poor crap they are putting that 5-year-old through. Yes, you are being an a-hole. Your parents are divorced. Deal with it. Stop blaming dad's partner and little kid. Maybe your mom was the reason they split. At least tell them that you are upset about the divorce and need time to process everything. Calling her a fair partner? It's kind of bitchy. I'm not upset about the divorce. I'm upset that my dad was a whore who cheated on my mom and that the affair partner knew what she was and didn't care. because she wanted a dad for her son. Not the a-hole. You treated the child with kindness when forced to be present, but you're not obligated to have a relationship with any of them now that you're an adult. It sounds like a fair partner intentionally sought out a man with a kid, so she could know her kid would have a good father figure, and she assumed she'd get him an older sibling as well. Turns out when the sibling is old enough to know what happened, they don't like you so much. She fooled around and found out. May she and your father have the life they deserve. That would make sense, because she had met me and Mom before. We might have met her before the affair even started, since it was her first week on the job when we were introduced. It was brief, but it sounds like her motivation was a dad for her kid. Next story. Am I the a-hole for cutting his daughter off and taking away the things I was doing for her after she had some type of relationship with the woman her father cheated with? I, female 29, usually stay with my now ex-boyfriend Carl, male 38, on weekends. He lives with his daughter, female 16, when she's in due to joint custody. He works a job that he hates because he has no opportunities for career growth. So 7 months ago, he started a company with an associate, Gabby, female 35. She's definitely successful and knowledgeable, so my concern was what would happen if she ever decided to cut him off. I'm mentioning this because his contribution to their business was bringing in clients but not anything technical. For the past 5 months, he stayed out late while working on their plans. I never had any reason for doubt or suspicion until he went to meet her on a Sunday afternoon. I didn't say anything because I know starting a business requires a lot of effort, but it's odd to allow an associate to interfere with family life. 2 weekends ago, she showed up and berated him for cheating on her. We were hanging out at his place with his 2 brothers, mother-in-law, his daughter, and sister-in-law. Gabby showed up knocking at the door while Carl was in the shower. I started getting weirded out when his family seemed hesitant to answer the door. His brother finally went to talk to her, but she walked past him and confronted me. She asked about our relationship. I'll admit that I was a bit rude because I got defensive. His other brother went to get Carl, and it all turned into a crap show. At this point, I'm disgusted, and I don't know who was the real girlfriend and who was the side chick. Also, it's worth noting that she accused his family of betraying her. Carl remained vague when I demanded answers, and I felt like slapping him, but I controlled myself. She stormed out after an ugly exchange. I broke up with him that same day and haven't been able to find my way back into a good mental state. I can't believe anything he says, so whatever he explains will be a lie. This is where I might be the a-hole. I made the decision to pull my support for his daughter. I had been paying for a makeup subscription box, but canceled it. She was getting her prom dress as a loan from a friend of mine who has 4 girls. I told my friend what happened, and we agreed that his daughter doesn't deserve any of my help. I also kicked them both out of my streaming services, will not help with the history school project, and will not keep her in my magazine subscription plan. Carl reached out, trying to discuss what I'm doing about his daughter. He said she's just a teenager and shouldn't have to pay for his mistakes. I agree that she has no power to stop him from doing bad things or from being a liar. And I know that she wouldn't be in a position to tell or warn me that her dad was cheating. But she's almost 17 next month. She's very mature, and she's definitely capable of telling right from wrong. She had 0 problems getting stuff and receiving help and favors from me and was comfortable asking for things. She's not a brat or the demanding type. She low-key asked for stuff and I was happy to help. I'm sure she also benefited from Gabby because it makes sense, since I'm under the impression that Gabby was no stranger to her either. I told him, let Gabby do it, and he tried to complain about how Gabby vandalized their website. She took their page down, and all it shows is a black screen. He says she locked him out of all the logins, and supposedly had all her contacts block him. The only thing giving me a little joy right now is imagining him naked and holding his balls out in the cold. Am I the a-hole? My friends are divided over this, not because of him, but because they say she's just a teenager. How long have you known his daughter? She knew her dad was cheating on you and didn't care enough to say anything. Also, you broke up with her dad. Do you have any desire to maintain contact with him, his daughter, or any part of his life? If not, then you did the right thing. You should inform him and her about needing to find a new dress so she doesn't get entirely blindsided, only because that's a formative experience for teenagers. But you don't owe her any favors or further involvement. However, if you've been involved with raising her for years, you may want to reconsider your approach and wait until after the anger has subsided a bit before making any decisions about her. Just my 2 cents. Not the a-hole. I've known her since she was 15. I don't want to continue the relationship because I don't trust her, neither her dad nor anyone in their family. It sucks, but why would you continue to help out someone else's kid? Tell Carl that she's not your kid, so maybe her father should start paying for some of this stuff so she doesn't feel like she's being punished. Block him. It's not her fault, but it's not your responsibility either. If Carl had made half the effort earning a living as he did trying to get his D wet, he could afford things for his own daughter and have time to help with her history project. Next story. Am I the a-hole for warning my sister that if she won't shut up about what she wants me to name my child, then we'll need some time apart? My sister, 30 female, and I, 26 female, have usually been pretty close. But during my pregnancy, she has been pushing boundaries over the name of my child. My sister gave birth to her son George a few months ago. It was during the time our pregnancies overlapped that she became obsessed with the idea that if I had a girl, I should name her Charlotte, so we'd have a George and a Charlotte. She's obsessed with all things Bridgerton, so that's where her inspiration comes from, along with her love of classic vintage names. My sister likes older names anyway, and she has been a little opinionated on names I've liked in the past. Before either of us were pregnant, I mentioned that a little girl we met had a cute name, Meadow, and she was like, OMG no, that's not the kind of name we should ever consider for our future kids. Another time, after our cousin had a baby and named him Dex, I said how much I loved it. Later, my sister asked me why I'd lie, and I told her I didn't. I really loved the name. Even with things like that happening occasionally, she didn't fixate on it. But now, totally different. At the very start, she told me I should choose a vintage name for the baby, like Ethel, Evelyn, Arthur, or Theodore. I told her I wasn't looking for name ideas and wouldn't discuss them with anyone but my husband. Then, when she decided on George for her son, she told me I needed to name my baby Charlotte if she's a girl. She also wants me to use Edmund for a boy because of another Bridgerton character. I told her we weren't discussing names, but she kept bringing it up. Then she asked me what I was going to name my baby, and I said it wasn't something we were talking about until after the baby was here and we were ready to announce it. In reality, we're between 2 girl names right now, with Lyra slightly winning. I know my sister won't like the name, and I'm not telling her in advance because I know she'll double down even harder on the idea of Charlotte. But all this interference from my sister is ticking me off. I have changed the subject, walked away, and hung up on her, and it still doesn't stop her. So the other day, when she brought it up again, I told her to stop, that I don't want to repeat myself anymore. But if she won't shut up about the name Charlotte or what she wants me to name my child, then we'll need some time apart, and I won't answer any calls or go anywhere she is. I told her I meant it, that she's pushing too much when this baby is not hers. She told me I was overreacting and that it would be petty to stop talking to her over baby names. I told her it's not about the names themselves, but about the way she keeps trying to tell me what to name my child. I told her I didn't do this to her. Her response was that I was acting like a kid instead of an adult. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. It would be petty to stop talking over baby names. It would not be petty to stop talking over having an established boundary stomped on again and again because she can't let it go. Not the a-hole. Thank you. It's not cutting her off because she suggested a baby name, but she's forcing it on me despite me laying out boundaries for that. And I'm pretty sure I'll be following through on the promise. But if that's what it takes, then I just gotta do that. You know what I noticed? When you said, she asked me why I would lie about loving the name Dex, she doesn't even consider you a separate person with your own opinions, ideas, likes, and dislikes. It didn't even enter her mind that you would like the name Dex. She doesn't even recognize there could be any truth beyond what she likes. She didn't ask if you lied, she asked why. She auto-assumed she had to be right. It screams self-absorption and a lack of empathy or recognition of others' individuality. I think some distance might be a good idea. Remind her your kids aren't married to each other. But that makes it cuter, at least in her eyes. It's not like two best friends doing it in hopes of forcing their kids together. She said that would be weird, but naming cousins like that is adorable. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband that I can't trust him with my children? I, 32 female, was cooking dinner and feeding the baby when my husband, 33 male, came home with a toddler after picking him up from childcare and noticed he needed a nappy change. He is a decent modern-day dad who happily changes nappies, so he went to do it as usual. I was finishing loading the dishwasher while still boiling water on the stove and watching the baby in his high chair, when my husband called out because the toddler was crying due to severe nappy rash. I was hoping he could deal with it, but he seemed to panic and just said he would stop. I went in and saw him closing a fresh nappy without having cleaned the toddler. I took over. Sure enough, the nappy rash was bad, which was all the more reason to clean it properly. So you can lather on the cream for healing. Once done, I went back to cooking dinner while my husband sat on the couch with the toddler. I said I wasn't happy that he didn't handle that situation because it worries me if I'm ever not here. What if I die? What if I go out for a night? How can I trust him to look after the kids if he can't even deal with such a basic task? He then started saying, yeah, well, if I was a normal husband, I wouldn't even be home from work yet, and you would have had to do it anyway. Then said something about it being a woman's job. While I was offended by his comments, I said it was irrelevant because we weren't talking about gender roles. He brushed it off completely as not a big deal. I said that I found it horrible that he couldn't see that this was an issue or admit he was wrong. He then said, what I find horrible is that not 5 minutes after coming home, I get yelled at and abused when all I was trying to do was help. Is he right? Am I the a-hole for thinking he should have been able to handle the situation? Or should I have been more supportive and helped without commenting? Info. Are these his kids? Why did you refer to them as your kids? Yes, sorry, they are our kids. That's kind of telling, isn't it? Not the a-hole. Dude really said, if I was a normal husband, I wouldn't even be here. Like that was some kind of flex. Sir, what? You weren't yelling at him for needing help. You were concerned that he straight up gave up mid-wipe and was about to leave your toddler marinating in their own disaster. That's a parenting red flag, not a husband getting nagged moment. He doesn't have to be perfect, but bare minimum, he should be able to handle basic hygiene without tapping out like it's a UFC match. Dude's mad he doesn't have a longer workday, while complaining he has to then do something at home as the trade-off? He'd rather be at work than participating in life with his family.